So Byrd's Adventure Center, and I'm just a visitor, but Byrd's Adventure Center was started in 1994. It's been in the Byrd family, I believe, somewhere since around the 1800s. So they go back quite a long ways. Zen and Pam Bolden are the owners of Byrd. Pam is a Byrd and came down through her side of the family. So it is a premier adventure park. So not only does it have all the grass strips we have in a mile and a half, they also do the canoeing, the kayaking. It is a premier off-road park. They also do a tremendous amount of training, survival training, rescue training, just about anything you can think of that would involve the woods in the backcountry. The Mulberry River runs right through the Byrd's property and is just a fantastic source for fish and obviously all the water sports. The unique setting that Byrd's has with a main runway, which we're in front of right now, called the River Runway, and then two cross runways over to the east. All of those are 1,800, 600, 800 feet long, and then we have the restaurant strip, which is around a bluff. It's about 900 to 1,100 feet long of usable runway. The idea was that we had all been running these strips and landing on these strips for quite some time, and it sharpened our skills and got better. The true founder of this, Joe Edwards, came up with the thought that how can we make it more interesting for people, and so we added the element of time. And to provide those skills, to have those skills, to be able to negotiate a lot of changing environments, winds, terrain, obstacles, things like that, to actually challenge them further and develop their skills, we developed the course. It is a difficult course. It's not a beginner's course. With no exception, it's not a beginner's course. So it doesn't mean that if you only have 200 hours, you're not qualified to fly the course. You could be a 10,000 hour pilot, but if all your flight time is in, mostly a barren, for example, you may not be qualified. But if you have 200, 300 hours, but all of that has been backcountry flying, you're absolutely, you're qualified to run the course. So the running of the course itself, specifically around the cross runways, which is probably the most challenging and also the most exciting part of it, there's a lot of change. So you're taking off. It's not necessarily about hitting the end of the runway. It's not necessarily about getting off the runway like you do in our standard STOL competition. You need to land far enough down the runway to minimize or eliminate your taxi time, turnaround and taxi time, so that when you turn around, you now have enough runway to take off. And obviously, they're one way in, one way out in a couple of cases. So one of those is going to be downwind. Now that's perfectly legal by the FARs. I mean, that's something that pilots practice. So it is a practice backcountry skill. Coming in over the trees and the power lines that are around here, you have to know how to slip an airplane and control that airspeed. Can you land an aircraft without slipping it on some of these? Yes, I've done it in my Husky. Is it much more controlled and safer if you know how to execute a proper slip? Absolutely. So those difficulties, again, bring out all these different pilot skills. And you do it relatively quickly. The transitions happen very fast. All of those transitions I talked about, the slower aircraft will run it in 4.5 minutes. Some of the faster aircraft and the times we saw today, which impressed all of us, was just over 2.5 minutes. So that's a lot of transition in a short amount of time. We did have two 17-year-olds compete in the course, and varied backgrounds. The young lady, Jaden, who ended up being very, very skilled, was an unknown, but she flew all the way in and she agreed to come in with no guarantees of being able to run, but to be evaluated. And we evaluated her just like we evaluated everyone else. And we did it progressively to make sure that she, she could do the course. Now, that's no different than we do anybody else.
I started flying in a 172, and then I transitioned over into the tail wheel, and so I probably soloed a tail wheel probably in March or April. We have little adobe hills over in Colorado that we like to follow and that like dirt bikers ride on and stuff. So we'd go chase the dirt bikers through the adobes, slip down mountains, super sharp turns, and that's really what helped me with this course. If it wasn't for having a carbon cub and Acme Aero shocks, I don't think I would be able to do this course. Because being able to just come in at slow speeds and just drop it down on the runway without worrying about bouncing, that's really what's helping me in this course. I flew every day. I would come home, I'd hop in the airplane and I'd go fly for just 20 or 30 minutes. It's not straight and level flight that's gonna help you with stuff like this. It's going backcountry strips, challenging yourself.
Typically, that age of a person doesn't have the experience. In this case, she absolutely had the experience and absolutely knew how to handle the aircraft without a doubt, as you guys will see in the videos. You'll see in the videos there are a lot of different types of aircraft. To that, we were surprised at the different entrants that came in. 172s normally wouldn't be all right, but a 172 with a larger engine and a STOL conversion, it's doable. The Sea Ray is a perfect example of an amphibious aircraft, but it's a fairly rugged airplane, and it is a tailwheel airplane, and it did exceptional on the course. So the versatility of that aircraft really kind of comes to life. We also had an almost stock 175, which is a 4-passenger, a little bit heavier aircraft. Once again, with the right skill set and the right knowledge of the airplane, these things are absolutely achievable. We did have a myriad of the Cub Crafters and Carbon Cubs and Super Cubs and Huskies, and in the light sport class, the Kit Foxes and the Zenith and the Just aircraft and a myriad of others. And those were very interesting because they really were built to do this, but they're not really fast. The 175 wasn't necessarily built to do this, but it's fast. So in that way, the course becomes an equalizer for these aircraft. And for the skill set, because some people are faster at getting on the ground and turning around. Some people are faster going from one runway to the other. So that also led them to different paths depending on the aircraft that they had. So we were quite pleased at the variety that came and did it very successfully. So the goal of ArkanSTOL is actually about threefold. One is to provide a different type of challenge to the folks that have the right airplane and have the right skill set to come in and exercise their backcountry skills. The second goal was to actually promote Byrd itself and let people know that this wonderful kind of oasis in Arkansas is here. And then the third overall goal was to really promote Northwest Arkansas and the Ozark region that has a ton of different backcountry strips and is very backcountry friendly and really is kind of a hidden gem in the U.S. for that type of fun.